Hello everyone and welcome to the NinjaTrader Ecosystem webinar room. My name is Juanita and I work in the NinjaTrader Denver office. We have a very special event for you today with Will Busby of Pure Financial Academy. I would like to mention it is important to understand that there are substantial risks in trading commodity futures contracts and Forex. You should carefully consider whether such trading is suitable for you and will depend on your specific circumstances and financial resources. It is possible to lose all funds deposited with your broker and could even incur losses beyond these amounts. Please inquire at the following link for a full copy of the CFTC risk disclosure or if you have any additional questions regarding the CFTC risk disclosure. This presentation is presented by NinjaTrader LLC, which is the technology-based company responsible for developing and supporting the NinjaTrader trading software. Brokerage-related questions should be sent directly to our brokerage team using the phone number or the email address that I did place in the room. With new tools added nearly every day, NinjaTrader ecosystem is home to hundreds of apps and services. You can quickly and easily find the tools or services you are looking for with a simple keyword search. You'll also find information about upcoming webinars in an on-demand video archive to view previous events using the following link. Also, if you are on social media, please follow us on Twitter or Facebook to get updates of all things NinjaTrader ecosystem on a daily live basis. NinjaTrader is always free for advanced charting, strategy backtesting, and trade simulation. To ensure you are on the latest version of NinjaTrader and to pick up a free live data trial, please use the following link. You can lease or purchase NinjaTrader using the following link, and if you are just getting started with NinjaTrader, we offer free live training on a daily basis. You can view a schedule of our upcoming webinars and educational services using the following link. We're very excited for this unique event in which will provide a front row seat to PFA's latest innovative PFAZoneSuite functionality hedging. Thank you again for your attendance, and without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome to the NinjaTrader ecosystem room, Will. Go ahead and take it away, Will.
And I do thank you so very much, Juanita. As always, thank you everyone for being here, and thank you guys for everyone at the NinjaTrader team. As always, these guys just really come to the table. Boy, they're so innovative, and it's always just much appreciated what all they do for the ecosystem and for all the users, etc. So again, thank you all for being here. I'm going to try to get through this, and I have a tendency, if you've ever been in an event with me before, I perhaps have a tendency sometimes to ramble. So I'm going to do my best not to do that today. I'm going to get right out to the screen. Let's do that. And also, I've shortened and condensed the presentation because we're going to try to get right to the charts. But there's a few things, little highlights, if you will. So let me go ahead and do that now. Let's see on screen 2. There we go. All right, so you guys should have that up. And let me pull the, so it kind of hides the chat there. I'm just going to pull that back up. And I do always, say I will do my best. I'm certainly not perfect by all means, and so far from it. I will do my best with the questions. I won't leave without answering them. If I miss them, however, which is very likely, especially given the speed in which I'll try to move, if you don't mind, just bear with me, and I will certainly come back to those questions towards the end of the session. Make sure they all get answered as quickly and as promptly as possible. Thank you guys again so much. Let's go ahead and get started. So do me a favor, Juanita, if you would, or whomever, if you'll just type a quick Y in just to make sure you are indeed, you do have the screen disclaimer up there. Okay, perfect. Thank you. And also, I see some names, some of our PFA members in here. So I want to thank you guys for being here too. You know how much we value you. So thank you much. All right. So the disclaimer, when I already ran through that, of course, being for educational purposes only, trading, you know about the risks and all of that. So we can go ahead and just kind of progress here. I'll tell you a little bit really quick. If you don't know anything about PFA, Pure Financial Academy, so we're an online trading education community dedicated to supply and demand order flow methods. We provided training material as well as software to individuals looking to learn about trading since about 2009. So we have a strong belief in the power of having others on the same path as yourself, thus the term community. And we want everyone there to support one another. Okay, so that we'll talk about running the room, and we do all of that good fun stuff every week. So our mission is to indeed provide a positive and effective environment for traders and investors who wish to utilize supply and demand trading methods and share their experience with others. There's our contact information. If you guys want, Juanita, if you don't mind, maybe throwing in the home page link there. That way they could just click it from the chat. I would much appreciate that, and thank you so much in advance. You guys are welcome to go ahead and navigate around the site if you want, what have you. But anyway, there's our information. Feel free to copy that down, our email, phone number, so on and so forth. Okay? Perfect. So today we're going to be looking at our Zone Suite. And I will just tell you, look, the Zone Suite, guys, I'm very proud of it. We've been at this for a very, very long time. And we, just like NinjaTrader, right? I mean, we're different companies. Obviously, both trusted resources one another. That's why we work so well together. But just like their innovation, well, that too is our Zone Suite, if you will. We always continue to do our best to innovate and continue progressing and throughout the industry. All right, so as we talk about the PFAZoneSuite, what in the world is it? Indeed, it is NinjaTrader 8 fully compatible. It's designed to reduce subjectivity in determining high probability future, keyword, turning points on a price chart. It utilizes price recognition, volume distribution, market volatility in its calculations, which are then displayed on the chart with custom graphics. They can be used for enhanced confluence purposes and for keeping track of historical data, which is fully back testable. So now that I've read that directly off the screen for you, let me give you a little bit more. I like to think of the Zone Suite as a toolbox, not a tool so much as obviously it's a tool, but not just a tool is what I'm saying. So I think of the whole toolbox. And the reason I say that, and thus the name Zone Suite, is because, most of us, I can only speak for myself, but we're generally as good as the tools in which we're using, right? So we love NinjaTrader because it's an amazing tool that we use. It allows us to have extensive functionality to complete, everything that we need to do, right? So that's great. And Zone Suite is indeed, as I said, I think of it as a whole toolbox. Again, it's my baby. Been doing this for a very long time, but it's not just one thing, right? So you're going to see, I'll go through a few of the data points and things that it has, but let's talk about the toolbox. Who has a toolbox? Well, many people, but if you think about a toolbox, you got to have a hammer, right? Well, if you have a hammer with a rotten handle, it's probably not going to do so well when you're trying to build a house or something like that. I'm just using an analogy. So we think of it as trying to just always keep the absolute best, most pristine hammer that we possibly can. And then from time to time, right, we're going to need a drill. We're going to need some sort of saw and so on and so forth. So with the Zone Suite, I think of it as all of the above. It includes the hammer, the saw, you get the point, and data and calculations. So let's go ahead and get started with that real quick. I'll start talking about the multitude of data points. Let's just start with the most basic. So as their way of doing things. A lot of people support resistance, supply and demand. We believe they're different. But again, everyone is going to have their own unique approach, and that is, we encourage it's great. But this is ours. So with the tool in itself, the Zone Suite, I'll start with the basic functionality. Here we're looking at primary levels. So that green zone, if you will, that you have on the chart, we refer to that as our primary levels. And we also have secondary levels, that big yellow one. Now, what you're really looking at here, and the terminology that you'll be most familiar with, is multiple time frame zones. So I'll throw a hypothetical on there. To be honest with you, I don't remember exactly this particular chart, but I can give you a vague understanding. The green zone is again, hypothetically, a 60-minute zone, whereas the yellow zone is a daily zone. Now, what's happening is these are running simultaneously, and we'll look at how advantageous that is. But I can tell you, going back, we were all over the place, right? We had to pull up multiple charts. We had to just, it was a lot of work to get all of the information and the data. Well, now we don't have to leave the chart, just one chart. That's all we need. We just need one chart. We load the data in, and all of the information populates directly there. So one of the, I would say the fundamental components is It's what we use predominantly for everything we do. So we have both primary and secondary. They can be altered from the chart. We'll look at that actually on the chart. So let's look at some of the additional tools, one of which is called altitude grid. This is a perceived value, right? It kind of helps you to understand, are we overbought, oversold? You know, how far have we traded to the upside versus the downside and so on. So I will tell you, you know, where the arrow is pointing right now, that lower portion of it is green. Well, that per our color scheme is very basic. Green is good, right, for buy. Red is kind of stop, like the red light situation. So sell or stop. And that's what, we just keep it very simple like that. So the altitude grid, same thing. Green towards the bottom, red towards the top. All right, so the next tool that I'll look at is our continuations, and I promise we're going to get to the good stuff here in a little bit. All that I'm doing right now is pointing out a few of the things we're going to be discussing in its entirety. So the continuations there, you notice here where I highlighted, there's a little hash mark, a little line, if you will, horizontal continuation patterns. They're either or generally going to happen in the midst of a move or at the you know, reversal points. So if you kind of look even further to the right, okay, if you look even further to the right in that arrow, you'll see a few more of them, and if you notice, they're happening in the turn. Okay, so the ones on the upside are going to happen in the midst of an up move, therefore continuing, and they're going to happen in the reversal points as well. Okay, so what do we use those for? Breakouts. Those are confirmation entries for us, and we use them quite specifically. The next one I'm going to touch on is automatic trend lines. I don't think I need to touch on that one too much. They are automatic, and they're built into the software, so they do all of that effort for us. The next one I'll look at is volume profile. So we have enhanced volume analysis built inside of all of the zones. You may have seen this before because, as I said, we've you know, we were the original innovators of this way back. So this is not necessarily new there, the volume profile, but just want to bring it to your attention. Now, moving forward, and the final one that I'll just bring your attention to here is market structure. We also defined a unique method of doing this. I always emphasize this is not a zigzag indicator. Okay, it goes well beyond that, and what you'll see, we can look at it on the live charts if we have time, but it alleviates many swings in the market, whereas a zigzag indicator, that's just what it's doing. It's going from swing to swing. So our market structure is definitely not doing that, just to be very clear about that. It does help us to see the actual direction of the market as opposed to just, you know, every swing going up and down, which can be quite convoluted in my opinion. Okay, so all of these tools, one of the things that I'll bring to your attention with them is quite simple, right? They're basic. And so I'm certainly not trying to talk down the ZoneSuite, you know, but at the end of the day, I want it to be understood that we're not looking for complexity. We want to simplify things. We don't need a bunch of indicators. We just need one that has the components built into it. And we need them to be forward-looking, never back. We don't want to look back. We want to look forward. Okay, so what's going to happen in the future is what can or cannot, I suppose, make money, right? When you go back and look in hindsight, of course, you can't make money from that. So real quick, only a couple more slides here. I just wanted to highlight the simultaneous time frame and kind of what we can do with that. Remember a moment ago I told you that we had a 60-minute inside of a daily. Well, think of this hypothetically as the same thing. The red being a 60-minute supply zone inside of a daily supply zone for all intents and purposes. Now, what we can then do is we can say, okay, well, there's our primary supply high and low. Now we have our secondary supply high and low. And inside of that, we have our secondary supply value area high, acronym VAH. So we can use all of these and we can build on that conditionally and build a very unique trade plan. Okay, so we can conditionally say I only want to take 60-minute supply if inside of daily supply, and I want my entry to be on the value area high, right? So we can then print an entry based on that. So you can see the conditions that can be included there. So, you know, most advantageous because what you're doing here is completely removing the subjectivity from the analysis. All right, so that multitude of data points, like I said. Now, a little brief introduction there. We'll get out to the charts for the fun stuff. But now it's time to make trade decisions, right? So you got your tool, you've obviously gotten your your account or whatever the case may be. It could be simulated, otherwise it doesn't really matter. But it's time to make decisions. Ultimately, we're always going to have to do that day in and day out, right? It's never necessarily easy, but we got to do it. Okay, so when those decisions arise, the next question, or I should say when they arise and we've actually concluded a decision, now the next question, this is where I'm going to start. We're going to be really looking at this today, because this is the add-on. This is the newest add-on to the PFAZoneSuite, something that has been in the back of my mind forever. And I will tell you a little bit about the history. I never began as a software engineer. I did not, guys. To be honest with you, I had no idea, nothing. Going, over a decade ago, I was, if you even tried to speak like an if-then terminology to me, I would be like, I have no idea what you're talking about, right? But the more we progressed and the more we tried to build exactly on my methodology, the more I realized, oh, well, we can accomplish this. And then, well, because we accomplished that, we can accomplish this. So it's been it's progressive, right? And we try to move forward in that regard. So the latest of which is, we have really within the past just few weeks, we have 99% concluded my entire methodology, which is why I am overly excited to finally reach a point where I can say, you know what, I can do everything that I really need to do, all from the tool. So if we want to apply hedging, right, that's going to be the next question. So we got our tool, we've made the decisions, we're looking at trades and whatever it is. Well, the next question becomes, do I want to apply hedging? Right? Okay, well, number one, what is hedging? That's a big question for a lot of people. A lot of people are like, no, I know what that is. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to run through some basics real quick for those of you who may not. So hedging is a risk management strategy that can be implemented to offset potential losses from a single investment or an entire portfolio. We are indeed going to run through this on the live chart today, by the way. It can act as a form of insurance on the actual investment in the event that it does not go in your favor, which is never ideal, right? So hedging is used by many institution corporations and of course individuals. Most hedging strategies involve a mixture or collaboration of equities, options, and or futures. And specifically options and futures, right? Those are going to be generally a very optimal hedging tool. I personally use futures. Not that that matters to you, but that's what I use, and all of our members know exactly how I do that. They see some pretty cool stuff. So, but anyway, one may have a large portfolio of equities and they're exposed to exponential downside risk, right? So remember the term insurance. So to mitigate this downside risk, he or she could short a relatable futures contract or sell an option call. Okay, so specifically, let's talk about that investment real quick, or portfolio, if you will. We're referring to buyers. Okay, so if you own a portfolio of equities and you're not shorting them, you just own the portfolio. We'll walk through some examples of that here in just a moment, but that's what we're referring to. So if you've bought up, a portfolio of equities, an option there would be to short against that and or hedge a relatable futures contract or an options, sell an option call. So here's an example for you. Let's call it investor, okay? It could be investor A or whatever you'd like to say there, but just investor. So the investor has a long portfolio. They bought it expecting for price to go higher, which is what, I would say almost everyone does, right? In the equity world especially, generally buying equities to go higher as an investment or trade, of course. So it could be day trade, could be long-term trade. Okay, so the investor has that long portfolio consisting of 5 top stocks in the S&P 500, including Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, and Google. Remember, this is an example here. And the investor is 100% exposed to downside risk, and they could lose a substantial amount in the event of a down market. I think a lot of people figured this out back in February. So just that's the most recent example I can get. Of course, the financial crisis, I mean, they're going to happen, yeah? But those are the latest, off the top of my head, especially back in February, was pretty rough. But we applied exactly what you're going to see today, back in February ended up being just an absolutely amazing year. And it's unfortunate for a lot of people, but not now. I mean, we're back making all-time highs, you know, so it's a great thing. But the point is, you can be heavily exposed to the downside. If you own those stocks, right? Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, and Google, you're probably feeling pretty good because those are amazing companies. But you're still exposed 100% to the downside. So the investor sells short an S&P futures contract to offset his or her potential losses. As a result, in a down market, the investor would gain profits from the short futures contract, that is to say from the hedge position, which would offset all or some of the losses from within the portfolio, those equities, okay? So again, it's like an insurance on, you don't want it to go against you, right? In conclusion, hedging may indeed it may indeed reduce the ROI, which is an acronym for return on investment. I'm sure you all knew that, in a consistent bullish market. So if I'm hedged and the market just keeps on going up, I might want to consider removing that hedge, as there's no real point in it, right? So it could indeed reduce your ROI on the way up. However, if the sentiment were to turn bearish, the hedge position would substantially benefit and could save a lot of capital. So hedging, this is important, can be applied to both short-term and long-term trading. All right, so we've walked through hedging. Now we're going to look at a couple more slides of what we're about to go do on the live chart. This right here is just order management data points that the PFAZoneSuite has incorporated. Okay, so what we're going to say here is supply stop, and then we also have up to 3 targets. We have the supply stop. In this case, I'm using supply. It could conversely be demand. It doesn't really matter. But these are built-in orders that are going to be executed directly from the chart. So here, as I said, we have a supply zone. We have the stop, entry, trigger line, and 3 targets. Trigger line is where basically if price touches that line, the stop would automatically move from the original stop point to beyond the entry point. In other terminology, it would be break even plus commissions, okay? That can be manipulated, it can be moved, as all of them can. That is literally every your discretion, right? If you desire that. So I can move the stop up, I can move the targets to different locations, trigger lines, so on and so forth. Okay, so I'll just move a little bit faster. Now with this though, these orders are submitted on the corresponding market. So if I'm on, Apple, or if I'm on Facebook, if I'm on the S&P or whatever it is, whatever market I'm on, that particular chart, that instrument, these orders are of course going to be submitted to that instrument. And this is, same as always, right? I'm not saying this is anything new. But once we get to the next slide, you'll understand why I'm saying this. So again, these orders are submitted to the corresponding market, all right? Now the hedge order functionality that we have now built in, we have a hedge stop, we have a hedge entry, of course, and then we have a hedge target. Now I should stop here and say that, of course, we have all of the same functionality built into the hedge order placement as well. In other words, we do have the trigger line and we do have up to 3 targets. I just didn't put them on this image because I also wanted to explain that you could disable the OCO functionality, and that is different terminology saying that we could disable the bracket orders, okay? A lot of times that you're thinking, why would you ever do that? Well, in a hedge position, it may not be advantageous to have that bracket order from time to time, because maybe you just want to remain in the hedge position and not make the cardinal mistake of accidentally getting removed because overnight it hit your target or your stop or your trigger line or something and caused an accidental removal from that trade. I've seen that happen. We talked about it today in the room. It's kind of bad business there. Now, these orders are not submitted on the corresponding market, right? They are submitted on the hedge market, which we dictate what that is. The corresponding order labels are built on if then else conditions, which act as a trigger for the hedge order submissions. So again, if then else, if this occurs, then submit the order. So for example, if the entry is touched, then we begin to move forward, else we do nothing, and so on. All right. And the last here we have couple just different things. I want to run through these really quick because I prefer to get right out to the charts. I just wanted to show you here the push button functionality. So I'll show you a few different ways to do this, but as you can see there, we have a user interface built in, and it is very straightforward. We have a drop-down menu. So we can literally do all of this right from the chart. We never need to leave, and it is literally as simple as clicking a couple of buttons, okay? That's why we call it push button order submission. I'll show you this, and I prefer to show you that on the live charts. Now, the only other things that I will bring your attention to is alerts, and then of course we have the real-time, the real-time alerts, and we have our user interface. We had to build this custom just because our software being so robust. There's hundreds of settings, right? So we built our own user interface specifically for that. Here you can, I'm just basically displaying the settings for the alerts. Only reason I bring your attention to the alerts is because I want you to understand that many alerts function what we call calculate on bar close. Ninja could explain this to you very well, as that's their functionality to enhance your CPU intensiveness, okay? But the way that we've developed ours is while we reduce CPU intensiveness, our alerts all function in real time. So if, when that line is touched, boom, you're going to get an alert, right? It's not going to have to function on the bar close, because if I'm on a daily chart and I put an alert out there and then it gets touched, well, in a normal sense, that's just, I'm never going to get the alert until the end of the day, and everything I needed to happen could have already happened, right? It was far too late. So I just couldn't stand for that. What we had to do was build a very unique way of doing that. So they are real time. I just wanted to kind of push that out there for you. So there's a user interface. We'll go through that on the live chart. Okay. Now, as we go out, we'll come back and talk about the community and all that good stuff. Of course, I'm going to get you a really good discount in the event that you decide to join. But really quick and very important, okay, tomorrow we are going to have a follow-up event for you all. The title, of course, is going to be automation. And again, I am so very excited about this. So not only are we going to be talking about the hedger, but we're going to go a step further because we have our fully automated ZoneSuite strategy. So it's going to incorporate all of this, and it's going to be, you'll want to be there. You want to miss that. So again, fully automated. We can build entire trade plans, all of that good stuff with order execution. So that is going to be tomorrow, the 28th at 11 a.m. And let's see, if you don't mind, Juanita, would you do me a favor? The link there, PFA free events, if you don't mind just throwing that one in the chat for them, because guys and gals, the only way you'll be invited, of course you can use the link there, but the way that you'll be invited to this is if you register on that. It's free, of course. So you can register on the page that or the link that she's providing there, and you'll get an invitation to the event. And again, you'll get to see the fully automated system. We're actually going to put it to work tomorrow on the S&P, and then we're going to build an entire trade template. It's going to be pretty cool stuff. Okay, so let me stop the sharing real quick, and I will take you guys out now, as I said I would, to the live charts. Okay. Let me get back up the chat here and so on, and I will come back. I will come back to those questions. Promise, guys and gals. Let me get through this real quick because I know. Let's see. We started we've already been at it for about 30 minutes, so I need to make this really quick. All right, I'm just going to use Apple as an example. Okay, let me show you guys what I'm talking about here. So Apple's a kind of a great example because it's coming into a demand zone. We can walk through some of our recent, these are just trades that we've discussed in the room. They've been running now for a little bit, and so several of them, but I want to use one that has not been on at all. So we have here Apple, a perfect example, because let's say that I wanted to buy Apple, but I'm a little bit worried because we've been rallying for quite some time. I think we could all agree with that. If you scrunch up the chart, whew, I mean, Apple's just way up. They also just split their stock, so kudos to all of you who owned Apple, yeah? Okay, so let's look at the orders real quick. Couple of different ways we can do that. We can click the exterior of the zone, and we have a couple of different options here, right? So TF stands for trend following, CT is for, but we can implement different risk tolerances, as you can see there. With CT, I have only 200 shares. With TF, I have 300 shares. So you can give it different risk tolerances, different targets, different whatever. It's a whole order management situation. But let's run you through a hypothetical here, okay, so you'll understand the robust functionality. Let's say that I wanted to go out and buy Apple, as I just mentioned. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to say, okay, well, I want to buy 300 shares of Apple at a said price of maybe 572 cents. Now, why would I do that? Well, because there's demand there, right? So we always are using our software, of course, to do that, as you could see. So that's, again, if you go back and you look, that's what we're doing on every, that's always what we're doing, right? We're utilizing our software to advance, our trading analysis. So here in the hypothetical sense, if I wanted to buy Apple, but again, I know, what, Apple has rallied up extensively. It would not be surprising at all for a substantial correction, okay? So I'm okay with not making a boatload on the way up, but more importantly here, I don't want to lose money in the event that it goes down. So I want to set myself up for success on either side of the market. So what I can do here is I can go and I could actually submit this order, right? So I have multiple order types. Let's talk about that tomorrow in the event because I don't have enough time here, but I will walk through each and every one of those and what they mean and how they work. As I said, all of this can be manipulated and moved directly. If I clicked it right now, I could move it anywhere I want it. So if I wanted to, I could go right here and submit that order, and I will here momentarily. But first, I want to explain what I am doing. So if I have that order and I'm going to buy, I feel very confident. I love Apple. It's a great equity, of course, great company. So I'm going to go out and buy that. But as I said, I'm just not comfortable with what I would refer to altitude here. So a way to protect myself is I'm going to hedge against this, right? So again, if we were to have a down market, then I don't want to lose, my capital, of course, right? I'm going to hedge against it. So I can actually go here into our hedge menu and I can sell against that. Now, you got overlapping here. So what I'm going to do is go back and I'm just going to toggle these off temporarily. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I am hedging with two. You're thinking 2 shares, how are you getting that math, right? Well, the funny thing is this is not coming from this market, okay? This is coming from a totally different market because if I only had 2 shares, rest assured we would not have a risk of $1,812.50. Not even close, okay? So this is actually coming from the micro S&P futures. That's what you're seeing here. So not only are we able to submit orders and so on and so forth as such, but we're actually able to grab calculations and do that all directly from this chart as well. So again, what I could do is I could say, okay, you know what? Look, here's a situation. I'm going to go ahead and I want to buy Apple at said price of 572. All right, with an expectation that potentially it moves higher and maybe we reach the 51 or 517.76s, and of course that would be a profit of $5,109, all of this being calculated for me. Now that's great, well and good, but there's a high probability given the altitude that's not going to happen. All right, so here I could go hedge against it as I said. All right, and let's look at the labels now. So specifically the reward. If I buy into this, okay, and it goes against me, this right here is my stop order for the hedge position. So in other words, if it's moving in my favor and I can clearly see that, I can go ahead and close out the hedge position and let the remaining run, and I can take 100% profit on the way up from that particular point. Now to the downside, what if it goes against us, right? Well, if it goes down, okay, if it goes down, I'm going to get stopped out of my long opportunity, but I'm going to be making on the downside, right? So I'm hedging my position, setting myself up for success either way the market goes. Now there's a bunch of different ways to hedge, guys, and in the room I lay it out exactly, in advance how I'm going to do it. I specifically talked about it back in February. We were short from early February, way back when, right? And again, great year and all that good fun stuff. But the important thing is having the tool to do it quickly, right? Having the tool to do it quickly, and again, all from one chart. So the key takeaway points here, just understanding how easy this actually is, right? If I want to go here, I'm going to go submit the order. So I now have a buy stop limit order, okay, at a share price of, I believe it was 572. Now I'm going to toggle that off, and I'm going to go hedge against it, and watch what happens here though. Okay. You know what? Hold the phone real quick. Let me, Apple is, well, no, we're in the close. It's okay. So we're good. It's closed. I was going to say, uh-oh, this might actually get filled or something, but that's okay. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go and submit my hedge order as well. Okay. But now look at what happened. You don't see an order there though. Hold on. What we saw is a label. So it's indicating, hey, a live hedge order is going to be submitted when the enter label is touched. So as I said, it works on conditional factors, and that's how it functions, okay? So if that label is touched, the hedge position is going to be, you know, instantly submitted at current price, and therefore I will be hedging against the market. So again, there's a bunch of different ways to hedge. We talk about all of them in our live room, and unfortunately, given the time limitations, I can't go into it today, but I will tomorrow in the free event there. So we want to get back out to that. Make sure you guys sign up for that. And then I will try to take a few questions real quick, but this is just some basic functionality. I wanted you guys to see the hedger on this chart so that you and just so you guys know, in our user interface here, when we open that up, that's where all the settings are going to take place. So we dictate what market we're going to hedge with, every component of every trade, where the stops and targets are going to be, if we want to take 1-to-1, 10-to-1s, you know, whatever that is. Even if we want to set additional opposing zone targets, we can do all of that. So tomorrow we'll have more time, but I'll go through it. Let me stop the sharing really quick. I'm going to get you guys back out to this. I'll share it, and then I'll just kind of focus on the questions as we go. Here, I'm going to get you guys down as I'm talking and answering the questions. Some discounts here for you guys. So the beautiful thing about today is you can get the PFAZoneSuite, and if you do that, we'll just go ahead and include the entire PFA hedger, absolutely no cost. So the hedger being an add-on of $4.99, but today we're going to include it as well as tomorrow. So we'll go ahead for 48 hours. You have the ability, no rush on that. But point is, we wanted to make it accessible to you. So that's what we're going to do for you today. You'll get 2 licenses, the hedgers included, all the updates and everything for a year, you know, member only forum access, community support, etc. So you're going to get that. Like I said, you'll get the hedger add-on absolutely free today just by purchasing the Zone Suite. And the next thing that we'll make you an offer, you can kind of read through that as I'm doing the questions. We have a year on the PFA community. You can read through that, as well as today we're going to discount the lifetime substantially, which is not very common. We did this just a week or so ago, but that's about all. We don't do this maybe once a year, maybe twice. So there it is. The hedger is included in that, and that comes with lifetime access to all of the above. Okay, so let's get to the questions, and we don't want to keep them too late here. It looks like I got about 7 minutes if I'm reading this correctly. All right, so let me run up and see here. So yeah, Damien, yeah, this is a great question. The question is your software available with a monthly subscription? Yes, so if you wanted to test it out, absolutely we can do that for you, no problem. So if you wanted to do it on a monthly subscription, we don't publicly put that out there because, I mean, just for many reasons, but yes, indeed. So if you want to contact, shoot an email over from the website, and I can produce that for you, no problem. So yes, sir, we do. What is the reason you shaded the top of the chart? You know, I'd have to, I don't really know. I'll be honest with you because I don't know. I'm sorry, I should have saw that question in real time. I do apologize, Tony, for that. But I will tell you that I was doing the documentation the other day. Generally, my charts are white, you know, and the members will contest to that. But with the documentation, just for contrast purposes, I turn them dark, and I've just been using it dark for about a week or two now, just for no real reason there other than the documentation. Let's see here. Multiple failures on the sign up link from sign up form, I think you might, form link provided. Give that a shot again. Hey, look, Richard, if that doesn't work for you, it could be something to do with like CAPTCHA or whatever in the back end or something. Just shoot an email. Go to the contact us page at the top right. Shoot an email. We'll get you taken care of, man. No worries there. What data feed are you using for stocks? I've heard that TD Ameritrade data may not be as reliable. You know what? I'm going to tell you straightforward, sorry, I can't pronounce that, but yes, that is actually what I'm using. And I can tell you, let's talk about that tomorrow, because I can definitely tell you there's some nuances that you need to be aware of, but I can tell you I do personally use it, and I just used it today. I'm in a trade right now with it. I'll tell you the nuances that you need to be aware of, because there definitely are some, but it absolutely works for me. That's what I use every day. Yep, TD Ameritrade is what I'm using in NinjaTrader. Absolutely. For equities, of course. Yeah. Great question, by the way. With your excellent toolbox, you must rarely need to. Well, Wayne, wow, man, that's a good one there, I tell you. Depends on the market condition. You know, I like it. I mean, I like your question, because theoretically that would be true. Like, you'd never need to hedge against, but that's just not true. Because look, at the end of the day, nothing is perfect. And I can tell you, supply demand levels, they fail all the time. You know, but what I always try to help people see is, look, if you can so our goal and our members, I don't ever talk about this myself, because I like for it to come from them. And if they're here and they want to post it in here, absolutely, you guys rock and roll. I'm transparent with all that. I don't ever hold back. They tell me that we're approximately 80% accurate. Now, I would say even myself, probably a little bit lower than that, right? But hey, you know, that's just from their experience and what they see. Now, but my point is, we may aim for that, okay? But even if you get 50% accuracy, factually speaking, if your risk to reward is intact, the reward can be quite substantial. Yeah, so we're not trying to be right all the time, but we're trying to protect our losses, and that's the key, in my opinion, to doing this. Protect the losses, accept the huge gains. And if we can do that, you know, in my opinion, great things can follow for sure. Yeah. So do you guys have any other questions? I have thoroughly enjoyed myself with you guys, as I always do. Again, the ecosystem here is just amazing. You guys are all amazing. And I would love to see you in the event tomorrow. If any of you have any issues whatsoever, whether it's the sign-up form, we don't hardly ever have issues with that, so I apologize for that. But if you have any issues whatsoever, just reach out. That's it, guys. Just go to our Contact Us page. Do not hesitate to reach out to us, because one way or the other, and I believe all of our members would contest to this too, we are going to support you really no matter what, right? So whatever you need, even if you're not a member. So do me a favor, if you would, Juanita, just actually, you know what? I believe you're posting all the links in there now. So yep, there they go. Absolutely. If you guys just want to click those, so grab that PFA free events, that will take you directly to the sign up page, and quickly, because those invites are going to go out in 15 minutes, by the way. Okay, so at 5:15 those are going to start going out. If you're not already in the database, you won't receive the invite, so you'd want to do that. But again, in 15 minutes they're going to start going out, so you're good there. So PFA free events, do that. The homepage, of course, just you can navigate around, what have you. The ZoneSuite software, if you want to take a look at that, I will tell you that I need to update the videos and everything, but tomorrow you'll get everything that you need from that point. And then you can look at our community and so on and so forth, okay? Hey, thank you again for your time. All the guys and gals at NinjaTrader, thank you for your time. If any of you are affected by the storm, our prayers are absolutely with you. I hope that everything goes okay, and you know, also with everyone just during these very interesting times. Yeah. So anyway, have a great rest of your day, night, evening, morning, whatever it is. God bless you, and reach out to us at any time, and I certainly appreciate everything, everyone's time and efforts today. And take it over, Juanita. It's back to you.
I want to give a special thank you to Will of Pure Financial Academy for a great presentation. Everyone in attendance here today will receive an on-demand recording of today's event, so please keep an eye out for that email. NinjaTrader Ecosystem is pleased to sponsor these weekly vendor events as a value-added service for our clients. If you find value in these events, we hope that you'll attend them on a regular basis. We'd like to remind you the information provided in this was that of Pure Financial Academy and not of NinjaTrader. All information was for educational purposes and should not be construed as trading advice. Again, we do appreciate the time that you spend with us, and we hope to see you in future webinars. Happy trading from everyone here at the NinjaTrader Ecosystem.